Hello world, my name is Richard, and this video is partly a response to the LA riots in the USA. And I'm not the first person to say this either. There's other people with similar views, but mine is just a different version, different slant, I guess. So the basic point is that the government is, pursuing these illegal immigrants, as it were, in this country, by the ICE people and doing it ruthlessly and brutally, and pushing people out the door who perhaps should not be pushed out at all, and doing it without any kind of legal oversight and courts involved or any due process, just the kind of fascist stuff. And because of that, there are now people who get angry, justly, rightly so, and respond in an emotional manner, as many people are emotional. The majority are. So we all are, but mine are quite different, but I'm angry if I don't get much else, but other people will just get angry and other stuff and fighting and throw bricks and things and get violent. That violence, that response then gives the government an excuse to clamp down on the protests. Because they look, these people are being violent and they're fighting against the law. And the law should be obeyed, shouldn't it, people? Well, this is the fascist playbook at work, partly. It's a long-term thing. It takes decades, even centuries, to bring into being. I'm not kidding about that point, I'm serious. You start off with a population that is largely ignorant. They're not told about what goes on and how the government works. Not told what could go wrong. Not told what these statements with the elections actually mean and so forth. And therefore they make dumb decisions and vote for one party and whatever. Happened in Brexit. Happened in other countries. It's nothing new at all. But you start with a largely ignorant population, and that takes decades, if not centuries, to establish. You then pump them full of ideas like immigrants are illegal, in the UK case. Then people get angry, take action, and then the government has vowed to tighten the laws even further. Happened with Steve Bray and his protest, happened with the protests of the JSO people and XR and so forth. In fact, when I was in London once, I spoke to the Insulate Britain people. They were planning to protest and block the M25. I told them I understood that I got their sympathy, they had my sympathy, I got their point of view. But I said it was unwise, because all that had happened, I knew this, I was going certain, is they're going to get arrested, have their lives ruined to some extent. And the Daily Mail will pounce them and say, look, you bastards, you stopped a woman going to the hospital, how dare you? And then the police and the government have an excuse to clamp down any further. And that's exactly what happened. So the law was tightened even further. The country still is not being insulated properly. The houses are not everywhere. It's the one thing you should be doing, but it's not being done. And the government, for some weird reason, doesn't want to do it. What they want to do is have people obey the law, no matter what the law is. They seem to forget, however, that in this country at least, we have a human rights law, still. And I'm not sure what the situation is now, but it used to be a case that every new law had to conform to that one, because it's fundamental. And it's also the case to say that a crime is defined in law as basically doing harm, either bodily injury or physical damage or neglect. And our purpose of the law is to prevent crimes from occurring. So even though I break the law as a cannabis user, I don't do harm to anyone directly. The harm that's done by the police is due to law, and the harm that's done by these gangs is also due to law being wrong. So if they're regulated, there's no more harm done, and the whole thing's hunky-dory. But the government doesn't want that. It wants to divide and conquer. So back to the USA. These riots give the government an excuse to clamp down even more. So not just National Guard, perhaps more of them, but also tighten the laws as well. And this is the fascist playbook, the Nazi one in particular. You have an ignorant population pump their heads full of bullshit via mass media, Nazi cases, radios, in our cases newspapers mostly, and TV shit channels, and other channels now. Stir them up, divide them into camps, have them fight each other, and then you've got the excuse to clamp down and have a dictatorship. It's a long-term plan, I'm sure of this. Brexit must have taken decades. You know, the EU is always portrayed as being over there. You know, the UK is part of the EU, but it's always portrayed as them and us. You know, Brussels against us, against England, despite us being in the UK, in the EU at the time. It's always portrayed us. It's all in the head stuff. People's minds are just twisted and warped by this stuff, because there's so much of it, and they don't know what to believe because it's so ignorant, and so they believe this bullshit because it's repeated over and over again. Therefore, they believe it. That's the way it works. Repetition works. Quite simple. Works in school. Works throughout life. And so this is a long-term thing. You know, the EU project took decades, and to fill people's minds with hate and bullshit ideas, and get them ready to leave. So when they had this silly referendum thing, enough people voted in favour of it, and so we should leave, despite being a minute minority. Yeah, the fascists won the thing. That's it. The people have spoken. Go here. Fuck the fucking foreigners. So I'm not quite sure where the USA is heading, but it's not looking good. This playbook is in play. I think they've been planning this. Somebody's been planning this for decades, not centuries. I'm damn serious about that. And that means beings that are not human are pulling the strings behind the scenes. And I'm damn serious about that too. The Nazis weren't human, in my view. They were utterly inhuman. Just appeared to be. So I'll leave that thought, and if you have any comments, please respond and share and like or whatever, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.